Okay, so today in class we started looking at cross sections. All right, and another verb that we can use for cross sections is slicing. All right, and basically, why do we slice? Why do we want a cross section of a three-dimensional prism or a three-dimensional block of any kind? Is we want to see what's on the inside. Okay, if we open this up, we want to know what's going on the inside. And so that's the goal for today, is to be able to take this three-dimensional block, all right, and we want to be able to look at this from a 2D perspective. Okay, if I cut this particular block, all right, if I cut it, what 2D polygon what two-dimensional polygon am I going to see if I cut this thing? And again, when we do our slicing, we can slice horizontal, we can slice vertical, and we can slice diagonal. Okay, and so those are the three slices we're going to make. Okay, so my suggestion here for you guys, when it comes to slicing, when you look at a prism, what is that prism made up of? So if I'm looking at this triangular prism here, I can see that it is basically made up of rectangles and triangles. All right, if I look at all the faces, that's all we have, rectangles and triangles. Okay, so if I want to slice it, so we'll get if I want to slice that triangular prism, okay, most of my slices are either going to be rectangles or triangles. Now the diagonal slices, that sometimes works out very tricky because we can slice in lots of different diagonal directions. And so those sometimes are not as obvious. But for the straightforward slices, the horizontal and the vertical, okay, this thing is made up of rectangles and triangles, so that's pretty much all we're going to get. All right, now how do we know what's what? So we take our block, okay, we're going to try to take our block as it is, all right, and usually when we slice, okay, and I'm going to try and simulate this with a plane here. This piece of paper is going to represent our plane. Okay, normally when we slice, one of the things that you can help yourself with is think of parallel. All right, if this is my slicer, what face is it parallel to? Okay, so again, this is for lack of a better name. All right, the slicer is parallel to, okay, that's the question we need to ask. So if I want to take my prism here and I want to make a horizontal cut, if I want to make a horizontal cut, all right, in the plane, that means I'm taking my slicer and I'm going to cut it this way. Okay, I'm slicing right through here with my plane. My slicer is going to be horizontal. It's laid flat, cutting through it, cutting through it. Okay, which surface is that going to be parallel to? Well, there's no surface here. It's not parallel to these two. It's going to be parallel to the bottom. So what's on the bottom? It's a rectangle. So my horizontal slice gives us a rectangle. Okay, it's going to give me a rectangle. All right. If I want to cut it vertically, all right, again, that means up and down. So now my slicer is cutting straight down through this. And I can slice it here, 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 anywhere out through here. Okay, it's like taking a knife and you're cutting up a block of cheese. Okay, so if we make that vertical slice, what polygon are we going to get? Well, again, our slicer is parallel to, okay, our slicer is parallel to, well, it's parallel to this face and it's parallel to this face. Triangles. And if we want to make a diagonal cut, okay, want to make a diagonal cut. So again, these are the ones that require a little bit of thinking. So now that would be not straight up and down. So this is kind of like I'm taking my slicer at a little bit of an angle. I'm going to slice down through it. Okay, so I'm starting at this point, and maybe I'm going to come out way up here. So I'm not cutting straight down through, I'm cutting at an angle. Okay, and again, now this may not be as obvious to us, so what we can realize here though is it's intersecting. My slicer is going to touch this edge, and when it comes out the bottom, it's going to touch this edge here, and it's also going to touch this edge on this side when it comes out the bottom. So my slicer is going to come in contact with 1, 2, 3 points. What does 3 points make? 3 points builds a triangle again. Okay, so for this one, the vertical and the diagonal cuts are going to reveal the same. Again, I'm trying to do the best I can here with my visual. It's not an easy topic to visualize here, or to show on a little video. Okay, so let's say we take a pyramid. All right, and in fact, this is a square pyramid. 3 slices, and for lack of space here, I'm just going to abbreviate horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. So again, horizontal cut, that means my slicer is going to be laid flat, so I can cut the tip off, I can cut through the middle. All right, so I am slicing across, slicing this way, slicing this way, slicing this way. Okay, so my slicer is parallel. It's not parallel to this. It's not parallel to any of these. It's parallel to the bottom. Squares. So my horizontal slice will give us a square. All right, may not be the same size, because if I cut up here, that's going to be a really teeny square, but it's still going to be a square. Okay, we're not interested in what size it is, just what polygon will it be. All right, so a vertical slice, again, we want to look at this as if I'm slicing right down through the center, right down through the center here. Okay, and again, this actually gets kind of complicated now because I can slice off center. All right, and again, that's when things get a little confusing. But if we were to slice right through the center, okay, my slicer is going to come in contact here. It's going to touch this edge, and it's going to touch this edge over here. So it's going to come in contact with 3 points. So again, it's going to form a triangle. And then if we would go diagonally, so if we want to do a diagonal cut, all right, so now my paper is tilted at an angle. My slicer is cutting at an angle. So it's going to come across. It's going to come in contact with 2 edges here. And when it comes out on the back side, it's going to come in contact with 2 more edges. So it's going to contact 4 points. Okay? So it's going to build a quadrilateral. Again, do the best you can with tonight's homework. It's hard to create visuals here that are real easy to see. So again, do the best you can with the visuals and try to picture these slices as best you can. We'll go over them many times. Have a good night.